If taking the CFP exam is like running a marathon, then choosing a review course is like selecting your training program. Each trainer promises to get you across the finish line. Expensive ones offer individualized coaching, in-person meetups, and fancy nutrition plans. The cheaper options promise the same techniques that anyone can execute on their own. They hand you a schedule and wish you good luck. In either case, you won't know if the program is working for you until a month and several $1,000s into training, at which point switching can derail you even further or force you to change your timing, which for the CFP exam comes with a hefty $500 postponement fee. Over the last week, I've spent hours reviewing landing pages, reading fine print, and listening to podcast interviews with prep providers. I've read 3,000 Reddit comments. Actually, my AI intern Claude did that. So thanks, Claude. All to help you make a better informed decision. Full disclosure, I'm approaching this review as an outsider. I spent the last 15 years as a product leader at large banks and fintechs, building products used by millions of people. So I know a thing or two about digging beneath marketing claims and analyzing user feedback patterns. For this video, we're going to be focusing on the 3 most popular programs: Dalton, Kaplan, and Danko. There are more programs out there, including BIF, Zane, and Pro Exam Tutors, but this video is already getting too long. So if you're interested in a review of other programs, leave a comment below and I'll make a part 2. Before I walk through each provider, let me share how I approach this analysis. Coming from a product management background, I created a structured framework to cut through the marketing noise. In tech, we'd call this feature set analysis. Here in CFP land, we're going to use it to understand what you're actually getting for your money. Broadly speaking, there are 3 components to prep courses: the pre-study, the live review, and final stretch prep. Let's talk about the purpose of each. Pre-study is where you're spending the bulk of your time. If you're spending the board's recommended 250 hours studying, nearly half that time is spent on self-paced pre-study. Essentially, this is a refresher of all your coursework, but condensed down to what the provider thinks will most likely appear on the exam. Pre-study materials are primarily text-based. Some programs mail you a printed book, while others have online ebooks. In some cases, pre-study may also include recorded lectures. Generally, these are supplemental and don't replace book-based learning. Scattered throughout the pre-study are end-of-chapter questions and quizzes to make sure you're retaining the material. The review. This is typically done live about a month before exam week. Reviews cover the whole breadth of the exam and are jam-packed across 3 to 4 days. This is about 35 hours or 15% of your study time. Now, I'll be honest. As an outsider, I didn't understand the purpose of these review sessions. If you think about it, something just doesn't make sense. Because the purpose of live reviews is clearly not to learn. These review sessions are the equivalent of watching 6 Star Wars movies back to back to back at 2.5 speed. It's too much. Learning happens elsewhere, in your coursework, during the pre-study, and later in the final stretch prep. These reviews are also not about a personalized experience. Again, the sheer volume of material being covered means there's no time to pause and answer questions. Reviews are attended by hundreds of students. Like college freshman year Intro to Calc, you're not about to raise your hand to ask a question. If you're looking for personalized learning, look for office hours or Q&A sessions. So what is the purpose of the review? I talked to some candidates who had just gone through one, and here's what they said. Typically, this is the first time you're seeing all the topics together in a highly condensed format. Up until now, you've likely been studying each of the test areas in silos, and the review is a chance to start seeing connections between topics. Another function of the review is as an accountability tool. You know you need to finish pre-study before the date of your review. It's a deadline that keeps you from procrastinating too much. And finally, sitting through 10, 12 hours straight of someone talking to you about estate planning can help build the kind of mental endurance you need to get through a 6-hour exam. Now, is a live review the best format to achieve these goals? No, but it's a way. The last feature set we're going to talk about is final stretch prep. This is really where the rubber meets the road. At this point, you're assessing your weakest areas, drilling down on specific topics and practicing case studies. Prep courses help you do this by providing mocks, whether that's question banks, practice exams, or test-taking tips and strategies. Okay, so now that you know what's typically included in these programs, let's talk specifics. The Dalton Review. Dalton offers 2 programs, the Dalton Review at $1,500 and Guaranteed Pass at $2,300. The Classic Review includes online textbooks and recorded lectures, online or in-person live reviews, and your expected slew of mock exams and question banks. Candidates are also offered the opportunity to hop on to office hours to ask questions. For an extra $800, you can opt for the Guaranteed Pass, which includes the namesake pass insurance and additional supplemental materials. You'll get 2 one-on-one coaching sessions, digital flashcards, supplemental lectures, office hours, and a text-based financial calculator lesson, plus the Guaranteed Pass. I'll let you hit pause right now to read the fine print on this guarantee. Essentially, Dalton is guaranteeing that their exam readiness quiz is well calibrated. So if you get a 70 plus on their mock exam and you don't pass the official one, they'll let you choose between re-enrolling in the program or getting your money back. This is probably a good time for me to share my gripe about these so-called Guaranteed Pass programs. And this is for all programs, not just Dalton's, though theirs has the most fine print by far. These Guaranteed Passes are actually money-back guarantees. It's some clever marketing, because Dalton can't actually guarantee you'll pass. Should you fail, Dalton can't, nor should they be able to, talk to the CFP board to get your fail turned into a pass. Which means yes, maybe if you jump through all their hoops, they'll give you your money back. But really, the cost of failure is not the money you spent on the course. It's the opportunity cost of spending 250 hours studying instead of, say, building your business or spending it with your family. It's the confidence you lost from getting a fail. And frankly speaking, these guarantees are atrociously priced because what they're selling you here is an insurance policy. Consider that on average, 35% of first-time test takers fail. So you're paying a hefty 50% premium over the Classic Review for this insurance. So if you're adding the pass protection bundle to your cart, ask yourself, why? Is it because deep down inside you know you're not going to prioritize studying for the test? Because if that is the case, stop. Don't take this exam. Sure, even if you qualify for the free retake, you're out nearly $1,000 in exam registration fees. And more importantly, you wasted your own time. Are there people who would benefit from buying the more expensive review course? Sure. If your employer will pony up the $800, why not? Or maybe you know you have $800 spare and you'll show up and get value from the extra office hours. Go for it. But also consider that you can hire one-on-one exam tutoring for less money. Okay, thanks for attending my TED Talk. So, what does Reddit have to say about Dalton? First, the good. There are lots of people who've passed with Dalton. The program works. If you follow the plan and put in the work, you will pass. This is something you'll hear me say about all the programs. Folks also find Dalton's video lectures helpful for reviewing. One Redditor said that they were so stressed out reading through all the pre-study material, and we'll talk about that in a second, that they watched the lectures on 1.5 speed instead. People also praise the thoroughness and flexibility of Dalton's question bank. Dalton allows you to select topics so that you can make your own tailored mock exams. Want to just get tested on the questions you previously got wrong? You can do that with the Dalton QBank. As this Redditor who is summarizing various programs wrote, Dalton is heavy in QBank. If you want to hammer out thousands of questions, they're your best bet. They really get into the nitty-gritty and you'll learn things you're extremely unlikely to be tested over. Another poster mentioned they have an excellent QBank. And while some people will say they over-prepare you and are too hard, they're that way for a reason. Now, what about the cons? The biggest gripe people have by far with Dalton is that the program can be overly comprehensive. So much so that candidates feel lost in what to focus on. Remember that first Redditor who gave up on pre-study and relied on the videos at 1.5 speed? Someone else echoed this sentiment. I used Dalton for my first attempt. I got extremely overwhelmed by the volume of material and the excessive nitty-gritty details that were beyond the scope of the exam. Another person wrote, "I passed with regular Dalton, not GTP. Obviously it worked because I passed, but I don't know. I felt like they emphasized so much granular detail. I wish they'd focus more on test prep than learning about the material. I feel like I'm a better advisor having gone through the educational program, but I didn't feel super confident going through the exam." Dalton does this on purpose. It's a point of pride for them. If you listen to interviews with Dalton execs, including their CEO, they pride themselves on the program being academically thorough. The trade-off? Sometimes candidates get overwhelmed and fail. The other pattern I saw, particularly among people who failed their exam, is that the Dalton curriculum is weak in psychology, ethics, and calculated work. I suspect there's a few things going on here. The psychology of financial planning was a topic that was added in 2022 when the board refreshed the test blueprint, and I think Dalton probably never really refreshed their materials for this. And second, the calculated course is available only on the more expensive Guaranteed to Pass program. It's a trick marketers use to upsell you into a more expensive package. TLDR, Dalton is a solid program that has the industry standard set of features. It's the equivalent of buying a PC. If you're going at Dalton, think twice before deciding to pay an extra 50% or $800 for the guarantee. It's not clear from Reddit comments that the supplemental materials included in the bundle make a difference. If you've got the cash or your employer is footing the bill, then sure, go ahead. Kaplan, College for Financial Planning. The college was established in 1972 and held the first classes for CFPs. This is why Kaplan proudly markets itself as the creator of the CFP market. While Kaplan doesn't share any numbers on the number of candidates using their review course, we can safely guess that it's in the thousands each year. Kaplan offers two programs, a $600 Essential Review and a $1,400 Premium Review. The Essential Review is the most basic offering on the market. It includes 7 online-only pre-study books, 2,500 questions, and a financial calculator video and workbook. There's no live review and no mock exams. While I suspect Kaplan offers this program as a weak straw man to its more expensive Premium Review, I would not dismiss this program offhand. You can purchase an additional practice exam from the CFP board, bringing your total cost to $850. If you need accountability, as live reviews provide, there are other ways to do this through enlisting a friend, coworker, or someone else to check in on you. Kaplan's premium offering looks a lot like the others on the market. In addition to the pre-study ebooks, there are supplemental video lessons and podcasts. There's a live review with the options to do it virtually or in person or through pre-recorded sessions. With the premium review, you have a mock exam and pass protection. If you fail the exam, you can re-enroll in the program for free within a year. At $1,400, the program is comparable to Dalton and Danko's base offerings with the bonus of a free retry. So what does Reddit have to say about Kaplan? First, the pros. There are lots of people who have passed with Kaplan. The program works if you follow the plan and put in the work. This will be something you hear me say about all the programs. The cons. Kaplan's programs are poorly structured. As one Redditor who passed with Kaplan said, "The one thing I will say is that Kaplan seems to work best for people who are self-motivated, self-disciplined, and dislike classrooms. I think most people would prefer learning in a classroom environment with milestones along the way to check progress. Kaplan isn't going to give you that. It just throws material at you and you need to figure it out. I prefer that method of learning, but I'm probably in the minority." Others echo the sentiment saying, "I used Kaplan and passed the first time around. It was fine. The videos didn't cover some concepts I struggled with or didn't know so well, so I had to look up videos on YouTube or muddle through the written material. The books were outlines of info which I liked, but only works if you're comfortable with most of the material. I have almost 15 years of experience, so I knew a decent amount going in. The questions on the Q bank didn't accurately reflect what the real test will be like. They help you learn the material, but they don't help you get comfortable with the way questions are asked. If you're a person who likes building their own structure when you're learning, you'll probably be fine. But if you want a structured program to help you focus on highly tested topics, then you'll probably struggle with Kaplan. They treat all material as equally testable. This person ends by saying, Kaplan isn't going to give you much in the way of support. These quotes hit on another theme. Kaplan has not been good about updating or fixing its material. The Q banks have outdated multiple option answers, a format that was eliminated years ago, and others point to finding mistake after mistake after mistake in their books. The feedback is similar to what you'd hear about Skype. Remember when Skype first came out? It was groundbreaking. Then, Skype stopped getting better, and the program fell behind. Now Google Meet and Zoom do the same thing, but better. TLDR, if you're a budget-conscious test taker, you're likely considering Kaplan. Take a serious look at the essential review. Supplement it by purchasing an extra exam, joining a study group, and finding other free resources. If you're someone who needs structure or more support, consider another provider. Danko. The Brett Danko review course is a fan favorite on Reddit. Brett pictures himself as not just a teacher, he's an active financial planner just like you. The program was founded in 2018, but Brett has been teaching for at least a decade before, first under Ken Zane, later with Biff, and finally on his own. In interviews, Brett claims that a fifth of exam takers use his program, most coming from previous financial backgrounds. Danko offers 3 different programs: the base comprehensive live review at $1,400, the signature live review at $2,200, and the plus live review at $2,900. The base program comes with 6 printed pre-study books, which also include questions and quizzes. During the live review, which takes place virtually or in 2 locations on the Northeast, there's another printed book that includes even more condensed notes, as well as additional questions and case studies. Post-live review, Danko shares a detailed study plan, as well as harder and more complex questions and mock exams, this time online. The signature review, which is, surprise, $800 more, includes 8 Q&A sessions with Brett and fellow instructor John Choi, 6 additional quizzes, 6 additional case studies, and a free retake should you need it. Finally, the plus live review, which there are very few mentions of, is an extra $700 and includes another 6 additional quizzes, 3 more case studies, plus recordings of all the pre-study materials, I suspect from the fast-track educational courses that Danko provides. So what does Reddit have to say about the Danko review? If there's one program that Redditors rave over, it's the Danko review. And I suspect that most are genuine, if not a little encouraged in their testimonials. People highlight the program's various tools to help you remember topics, from roadmaps and mnemonics to shortcuts and personal client stories that Brett and the other instructor, John, share. Danko is also cited for having a pass-focused program. As Brett himself has said many times, there is no magna cum laude for the CFP exam. His program is practical and targeted toward passing the exam rather than excessive focus on academic rigor for its own sake. As one Redditor put it, it's a lot of material, but it's less academic and more focused. Plain English. I was struggling with certain concepts using Dalton, and I read or heard Danko's explanations, and a light bulb just went off. For example, I think charitable gifting is like 10 to 20 pages in Dalton. With Danko, it's 3 to 4. He utilizes a lot more tricks with some of the math, too, which can be extremely helpful. Another representative quote, preaching the good on Danko, said, "I failed with Dalton and passed yesterday with Danko. I loved Danko. He really works to keep it simple and focus on passing the exam and not knowing the concepts inside and out. For me, Danko and Amy Lease did so much that got my mind in the right place and approaching the exam with the right attitude. As a retaker, I was scared out of my mind that I would fail, but I kept thinking about all the little mind tricks that Brett and Amy shared, and it got me through." In short, Dalton is so much material and is great for really covering your bases. Danko is great for keeping it simple and focused on your mindset and what you need to know to pass. So what bones do people have to pick with the Danko program? The big one is the limited online question bank. While the program has just as many practice questions available as other programs, most are in printed books, which you need to hunt through to find. Only about 500 questions are available online. As one Redditor said, it's pretty low tech. No online Q bank, most of his materials are hard copy only. Rudimentary website. But it doesn't matter. Another thread echoed this. Exactly this. extremely difficult and inefficient to determine what areas you need to improve. I did mark my wrong answers through the entire book and would reference back to them. Finally, while many extol Brett's presentation style, he's energetic and full of stories, it could be rambling with long tangents that take away from going through the actual material itself. As a few comments mentioned, I don't really think it fits my learning style. His lectures seem long-winded and there isn't much of an emphasis on practice questions, more on listening to him speak. Another said, Thomas and Brett are knowledgeable, but went on a lot of random tangents during class. They'd talk about stories that had little to no relevance in the material, and then we'd fly through the actual material. TLDR, the Danko program is a solid pick if you've got the budget, a strong financial background, and you learn well through lectures. The packaging is a little dated, but you can't ignore the rave Reddit reviews. So, after all this analysis, what did I learn? I don't think which prep provider you go with is a primary factor in passing the exam. And I say that because, 1, reading comments from test takers who fail, there's a strong pattern suggesting that the mental game is just as, if not even more important than prep material. And 2, as a product person, I don't see much differentiation in the products. This seems like an industry running on, trust me, I've been doing this for 20 years, inertia. People make small tweaks here and there when they have to, but I suspect it's been decades or more since any of these programs have really rethought their teaching approach, and it shows. So, if you're on the fence about which program to buy, let me leave you with one last quote, this time from the CFP board site where they interviewed a test taker. She said, "There are a lot of questions on the forum regarding choosing materials and providers. I would suggest picking one based on your budget and sticking with it. Some programs are more expensive than others, and it's usually the live sessions that contribute to the price tag. Text and test banks are much cheaper. It's easier to choose if you know your learning style very well. For example, if you prefer to read, then the expensive live sessions might add very little value to you. If you're not sure what format you learn best, choose a standard package within your budget and stick with it. This is a mature market, so all the well-known providers should work. Don't waste time and money picking or even switching. Trust the process." So, what do you think? Was my product breakdown and Reddit insights reflective of your experiences? Would you like to see another one of these videos covering other prep providers? Share your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time.